Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Wherever you are and whatever you're doing, I hope you're having a fantastic day. In this video, as promised, I'm bringing you the much anticipated advanced/solo play tips for Remnant 2. This first one has probably been googled by most people by now, but let me call it out very quickly just in case. Right near the start of the game will be a locked chest in Ford's office, and you do have the ability to open it straight away. Firstly, inspect the flashlight you got right at the start of the game, and when you manage to turn the bloody thing upside down the right way round, you will see a code scratched on the bottom, which you can barely read out as 0415, and I believe this should stay the same in everyone's playthrough. Use that to open the chest and you will get the cargo control key. Next up, head outside and start heading towards the exit, but hug the right hand wall and you can go through the containers and drop down underneath. At the end, use the key to open the door and grab yourself the MP60R. This is a full auto handgun with an insanely high magazine capacity and rate of fire, and is an absolutely fantastic sidearm to complement most early game classes' primary weapons. So try it out in close range, it can really pack a punch. Tip 2 is probably the longest and most complex, and it revolves around the Blood Moon altar you see in front of me. This is always found in Yeisha, very close to the Madra NPC. However, despite the fact the worlds are procedurally generated, I'm pretty sure it always starts out locked behind a door. So you will need to progress through the next few areas before you're able to access it, but that's absolutely fine because you will need a load of Blood Moon essence before you can actually buy anything from the altar. There is a whole armor set, some incredibly powerful gear, including a ridiculously strong amulet and ring that synergize with summons. But most importantly, the reason we're here, the thing we're aiming for, is the Faded Grimoire that gives us access to the Summoner archetype. To unlock the ability to equip a second archetype, all you need to do is collect 10 trait points and you will automatically unlock the equipping of 2 archetypes. And the next thing you'll need is obviously to farm some Blood Moon essence. This is done very easily, though it can be a little bit tedious depending on your luck. Any area in Yeisha has the ability to have the Blood Moon event. While this is active, tiny floating purple balls will be around the area. When you shoot one, it will zoom towards you and you will have collected 1 essence. They are most likely to spawn in around the Forbidden Grove, however apparently any area in Yeisha outside can have this event. So just keep reloading areas, teleporting around, swapping between doors, until you eventually see some of these purple floating orbs. Apparently you can tell if the Blood Moon is in the sky, however I looked in an area that didn't have orbs and in an area that did, and the moon looked exactly the same for me. So just wander around until you find the orbs, and then don't leave the area until you've found them all. There's usually somewhere between 9 to 12. There'll be 3 or 4 groups of 3 clusters of Blood Moon essence floating around. Once you've grabbed them all, rinse and repeat until you have bought everything from the altar that you want to buy. Once you've done this and you've got 10 trait points, you can finally equip the Summoner archetype, which you'll see me using for the rest of this video. It is insanely good, and you could even dual wield it with the handler to give yourself up to 3 or 4 summons depending on your traits. Having this many little dudes running around for you dealing damage and pulling aggro can make you nigh unstoppable. Truly, the Summoner is an incredibly powerful class, and the final summon that you unlock, the Remnant, is an absolute machine. Now, to go alongside your new class, you're probably going to want to level up as quick as possible so you can make the most out of it. And this leads us perfectly into tip number 3, and this is to utilize switching between the 2 modes. You can play both story mode and adventure mode in tandem, and they can both be on different difficulties. So if you're really wanting to challenge yourself and go on Nightmare or even Apocalypse, but you are finding it a bit of a struggle, a perfect way to counter this is to just keep re-rolling your adventure playthrough. Get to the next area in the story, and the enemies will be a couple of power levels ahead of you. However, now you can switch over to adventure, grind some better gear, grind some better levels, level up your archetypes, and come back to the story on an even playing field again. You can even use this to effectively go into New Game Plus. So what I did was I finished the story on Veteran, I finished Adventure Mode on Nightmare, and then I re-rolled the story from the start in Apocalypse Mode. Yes, all the enemies are still scaled up, ridiculously powerful. They are beyond the maximum power level that I can get to, but because my character is fully fleshed out and I've got a really solid build, it's far easier than it would have been if I started a brand new Apocalypse run. And this actually then gives me a viable chance of completing Apocalypse mode in solo play. So if you are ever struggling, do not be afraid to re-roll adventure mode and go and get some more trait points, discover new quest lines, and just do more exploring. Tip number 4 is as simple as can be. If you're on fire, roll. Stop, drop, and roll works better in this game than it does in real life. The second you go into that roll animation, the fire will immediately be put out. Bar one area in the game where everything is pretty much on fire permanently, but we won't talk about that. Next up, I'm sure you have been in this situation many times in this game. You get very deep into a particular area and realize for one reason or another you need to go back to Ward 13 or you're not where you need to be, and you are now a mile away from a stone. In this situation, Liquid Escape is amazing. Forget using fast travel. Introducing death travel. Unlike in most Souls-likes, you don't lose anything on death, so take your cyanide pill and resurrect at the nearest checkpoint. It's a very quick and easy way to get around, and saves you so much needless running back and forth. Next up, we're going to take a bit of a deeper look at quest rewards and boss rewards. Every item is completely unique and used for this one purpose alone. So if it's your first playthrough, don't worry about needing to save that broken timepiece or that dread core. This is the one and only thing it's used for. So if you want to try out every mod, every weapon in the game, as long as you've got enough Luminite crystals and enough scrap, you can just craft them all. Don't sleep on some of the boss weapons, on some of the weapon mods. There's a reason they're from bosses. They truly are some of the best in the game. They're very niche and they're a bit more complex than regular weapons. But if you take the time to read what they bring to the fight, you'll find that some of them are ridiculously powerful. However, on the flip side, my next tip is don't be afraid to sell them. If there is one particular boss weapon that really does not appeal to you, or you just know you are never going to use that mod, as I said in my tips video part 1, you are always in need of more scrap in this game. So if you know you're never going to use that crystal or that broken timepiece, just go and sell it to any NPC. That is literally the only two things you can do with boss and quest rewards. Craft the item at McCabe or sell it for more money. And you definitely want to do one of these two things. Otherwise, you are just wasting ways to make your build better and make you more efficient. Tip number 8 is to use my secrets guides to uncover new areas and loot. I have already covered in depth the entirety of the Ravager questline, including both puzzles in the Lament, the Water Harp, and all possible quest rewards. There is a plethora of hidden information just in that one video alone, and I have so many more to come in the near future. I am working on getting them out as quick as I can for you, from how to drop down to the bottom of the Spectrum Nexus, how to loot the charm hidden behind the bird, how to solve the clock tower puzzle, and so much more. So stay tuned, tell me what secrets are puzzling you, and I will do my best to get them all answered and get some quick and easy videos out for you to follow. The penultimate tip is a very simple one, but so easily overlooked. Coming from Dark Souls, I just instinctually smash everything. And in this game, even more so than most Souls-likes, smash everything. Firstly, everything is smashable, and it's very satisfying. Secondly, and more importantly, most of the time it contains scrap. And as I keep banging on about, you can never have enough scrap in this game. You need tens and tens of thousands. So even if you're just grabbing 8 here and 10 here, it all adds up. Smash everything, loot everything. But the third and most important reason you want to smash everything is you never know when there's going to be a hidden path. Be it a hidden wall, a hole in the floor, or even sometimes an illusionary wall. If you roll towards them barrels or them vases, sometimes you will just roll through the wall and you will have discovered a whole secret area. So quite literally leave no stone unturned and no box unsmashed. And my final tip is fairly generic, but bear with me. It is to experiment with loads of different builds. I know it is all too easy to find a build that works for you and then just stick with it. This is a trap I know myself and many others fall into with all types of RPGs. And you are finding new guns, new rings, new armor, new amulets all the damn time in this game, and neglecting them is probably the biggest mistake you are making. And I'm not gonna lie, it can get a little bit overwhelming, and that tends to be what stops you from experimenting, is the tediousness of thinking, oh, okay, what bits do I swap out, what do I use instead? So my advice is this: unequip everything. Go into your inventory and review all your pieces of equipment. I'm talking guns, skills, classes, rings, everything. Get it all off and read it all. Then pick one or two things that you love the sound of that really suit your playstyle. Whether it's your weapon mod, whether it's a particular ring, doesn't matter where it is, just pick two things that have an effect or an ability or a status or whatever it is that really gels with what you're going for at the current moment in time. And then build everything else around that. If that means you need to go and farm in adventure mode to get some more upgrade materials first, great, do that. But that's the best way to try out a new build without getting overwhelmed. And of course, if everyone wants it, I am more than happy to release a few build guides of my own to show you the most efficient way to play each class combination. At the moment, I am adoring Gunslinger Summoner, but I really like the sound of Handler Summoner, or even the other way around, Summoner Handler, so that you can just have all of the summons. So they're already two builds I'm thinking of doing. Let me know what you're running, let me know what you'd like to see, and I shall make it happen. For now, my friends, that's everything I had for you today. So all that's left for me to say is thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.